My dad was a blue collar dad with no savings, had no idea that he would pass away in his early 50s. And he did. He died suddenly. No will,
Ugh.
no money in the bank, nothing. And I had to plan it. And it happens to so many of us. Problem is that we do not talk about death. If we don't talk about it, maybe it won't happen.
Well, when you pre-plan with us is you get to actually see that sticker price of how much all these things are. That's great to know. Frankly speaking, it's like the process is broken from what I've read. The space that GiveWillow is looking to fill, it just felt like common sense.
What is your main support? Why would someone reach out to GiveWillow? Welcome to the Digital Legacy Podcast, where we talk about death and dying in the digital age. If you ever asked, how do I protect myself and those I love if something unexpected happened to me? You're in the right place. I'm your host, Niki Weiss, and together we'll explore how to protect yourself in a world where both your physical and digital legacy leave a lasting impact. And welcome back to another episode of the Digital Legacy Podcast, where we talk about death and dying in the digital age. And my guest today, I'm very excited, GiveWillow. It's a new online platform for Registry. And the founder is Janet. And let me introduce Janet and then CEO Ryan, the executive team. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having us. I'm Janet Turkula. Like you said, I'm the CEO and the founder of GiveWillow.
And then you met Ryan. Ryan, you've been on the team how long now?
Officially been on the team for about a year and a half, but met and was helping Janet out informally with this, through our friendship, for I don't know, like four or 5 years now.
It's
Actually,
been a
more than
while
that.
now.
6
Hey,
years.
Janet, you and I, as tech founders, death tech founders, we find ourselves here because we have a personal story, and I know you have one too. It would be really wonderful to hear what got you to GiveWillow and how your family impacted this journey of yours.
Yeah, so 2010, actually, I lost my dad. And we've done a couple other podcasts. And before this one, I actually had to go back and I'm like, okay, yeah, it was 2010 is where this journey kind of began. I lost my dad suddenly. I was 21 at the time. My brother, my sister, and I were pretty much raised by a single father for a majority of my life. And he passed away suddenly. And I think about the entire process of being in the hospital and having to take him off of life support, and that 21-year-old me, just really, mourning my dad and trying to figure out all the pieces. This company has really stemmed from that experience. And I briefly just kind of like set the mood of how traumatic that was in my life. But this stemmed from trauma. Think about when you're 21 and how much you really knew about the world and life experiences and so on and so forth. Not much. You're still a baby. I was still a baby. And it was really hard. I had to plan my father's funeral. I had to figure out all of the pieces after the organ donation as soon as he was as soon as he passed away. Organ donation, talking to the funeral home, getting his body transferred,
Oh my gosh, as a
picking out.
21-year-old, right? I mean,
Yeah. It was hard. It was hard. And everything after was even harder. The estate, his house. I think about just how numb my brain was through that entire 2 weeks that I had to deal with all of those things. And it was hard. So this platform stemmed from that. I didn't know at the time that I would eventually go on to build a platform that would help folks in my situation when they lost somebody figure out all the pieces for funeral planning, in addition to the monetary pieces of funding a funeral. Fast forward from 2010 to 2017. I really, wasn't too happy in my career, and just working a corporate job, and I didn't feel super fulfilled. And I will tell you the moment that this really hit. Wow, I have an idea here. My friend had lost an uncle, and she, conveyed, "Hey, this is so hard for them. They could really use money right now." And I went online. I looked to see if there were any websites that I could buy a gift card or do something else besides a casserole or flowers. And there was nothing. This was 2017 and there was nothing. In the digital age of Ubers and Uber Eats, and there was nothing. So I ended up making a pool of money on Venmo and just Venmoing her aunt some cash. And the family was so thankful, very heartfelt. But to me, it felt like a problem because I think about my 2010-year-old self, 21 years old. And in 2017, this is still a problem. Funerals are expensive. They're the most vulnerable times in your life if you're planning one or involved with one. I mean, again, 21, my dad was front and center, passing away right in front of me, and I had to plan it. And it happens to so many of us. So 2007 happens. I quit my job. I raise a little bit of money. I build a prototype. And actually, this is kind of where Ryan's story folds in. About 2018, he and I randomly met. I'll let you tell the story because you tell it so well.
I know. I mean, one of the questions I was going to ask is, Ryan, when you connected with Janet, did you ever hear about death tech? Did you ever hear about what's this concept? Just, the GoFundMe. I mean, you guys are really the solution to a GoFundMe account because people don't realize the cost involved. I can't tell you how many times people are like, when I ask them if do they have a plan, and they're like, dead is dead. What do I care? They can figure it out. Well,
Yeah.
here you are, Janet, and now Ryan, teaming up to be like, no, there's a solution here. You don't need to just let others figure it out. So, what drew you into the conversation, Ryan?
Yeah, good question. Initially, I would say up until 2024, even for that fact, I was kind of like death, uncomfortable, don't want to touch it. Um, and that
Wait,
was
wait. I had to like beg him. We've been friends since 2018, but I had to beg him. But go on.
Wait, I mean, let's just understand. My father died when I was 11. My mother passed when I was 21. So for us, Janet, it's it's a calling. It's in our DNA. Like it's trauma that we've leaned into. For Ryan, though, do you have anyone that's passed close to you? Like how did you put this whole death conversation into context?
so I think what looped me in. So met in 2018. I rented a room out of Janet's house in Philadelphia because I was looking for a room. And like it was serendipitous of like I was doing a startup at the time. She's like, I'm starting this, death startup. I'm like, ooh, but cool. Um, and we converted the house into like a startup lab, big whiteboards, water coolers, like the whole you know startup vibe for
Legit.
everything. Yeah. And then we were helping each other throughout that time. She was helping me with, my venture at the time and likewise with her. We were going to events and doing pitch competitions and all that. But then in 2024, we kept in touch. We would keep on giving each other feedback and helping each other. And I was like, all right, fine. Let me do my own research on this. Let me like look into just this death space and what does it entail. And after spending like a week of just doing a little bit more deep dive, I'm like, this is a no-brainer. Frankly speaking, it's like the process is broken from what I've read. The space that GiveWillow is looking to fill it just felt like common sense. Like, yeah, let's do this. I come a little bit more from like a tech background, so I'm like, I can help here of kind of like even more what Janet already built something at that point. And I'm like, let me come in and use like some of my tech skills and we'll massage this more. And the rest is history at that point. But yeah, originally I was like, no. But then like once you get into it, right, whether it's personal experience or even the research, which is the research only gives you the factual piece, right? It doesn't give you the emotional side of it. It becomes a no-brainer. Um,
In 2018, we would go to tech events together. He would pitch about his venture, I would pitch about mine, and he was always so supportive. Again, we would actually like practice pitching in front of each other. I gained a roommate, but a really like a best friend. And he and I walked through life. He got married, I got married, we both had children, we kept in touch. And I kept this venture going. I hired a dev team. I started building the product from the prototype that I initially had to something else completely. And the begging and the prodding and the pleading. And then I just had to show him the numbers. Ryan, we are problem solvers. This is a problem. Look, everyone dies and not a lot of people plan, but not so much just the planning piece of it. These funerals are costing people
Yeah.
$15,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you
Here's the
give some
problem here.
Yeah, let's talk about the stats. Let's talk about,
Yeah,
right? I
absolutely.
mean, there's a solution you're probably solving here, but most people probably don't understand what the problem is. And right, so does Give Willow, are you focused on funerals, cremations, services? Like, what is your main support? Like, why would someone reach out to Give Willow?
Well, you raised a good point whenever you said, a lot of people don't even know the problem. And what is the problem? The problem is that we do not talk about death, right? So we don't investigate it, we don't plan it. If we don't talk about it, maybe it won't happen, right? Or,
For us
we don't want.
personally, but we want to listen to other people's stories.
Yeah, but I mean that's the stigma behind it where, don't talk about it. Don't, just
Taboo. It's
the bad
taboo. If you talk
juju.
about it, it'll happen.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that is the ultimate this ultimate problem that we just aren't conversing about it as much as we should. So then you go, down the rabbit hole a little bit more and the other problems that come with it. It's expensive. It's expensive however you do it. We gave our dad the cheapest funeral that we could afford. And then you talk about the trauma. We couldn't afford the cheapest funeral that we gave him. I was behind in car payments. I'll be honest. 21-year-old just getting out of school. We didn't have a lot. My dad was a blue collar dad with no savings, had no idea that he would pass away in his early 50s. And he did. He died suddenly. No will,
Uh,
no money in the bank, nothing.
how common is that, right? That
So common.
and people
So
think,
common.
oh, I'm 50 years old. I don't need to worry about this stuff. And then no one knows what they have. No one knows what they're leaving behind. Do you think that if he knew what would he have done it differently if you actually had that
Oh,
conversation?
yeah. My dad was the kindest, most loving, thoughtful person. But again, it's just something that we envisioned that he would be around until he was, 80s,
Do you
90s.
think you would have talked about it then? I mean, I've
Yeah,
got
he
80 and
wasn't
90-year-olds that
helpful.
don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. No, you raise a good point there as well. So to answer your question, we are a platform that people can come to pre-planning, whether they want to pre-plan a celebration of life or they want cremated, they want a party, you can plan and pick all of your needs for a funeral or a celebration of life with our platform. The other offering is if you find yourself in a position that you were like the 21-year-old me and somebody passes away suddenly or not even suddenly, we have offered we've made a platform that people can really come together, community can come together, your friends and family can come together and hold space. They can offer support, whether that's financially or giving time, um, to to really like to really explain it a little more. What is the one thing whenever you were 21 that people kept coming to you whenever your parents passed away?
Right. How can we help? I mean, I think that that's Give Willow. How can we help? And
How
for
can we
you,
help?
Ryan, building out a platform that, I mean, we have bridal registries and baby registries, right? And birthdays, wish lists. Why not GiveWillow, where you're having an end of life. And for some people, they might be in a terminal hospice situation, or, mom just got diagnosed with, end stage dementia, but for her to be able to tell her wishes. So the platform allows you to kind of memorialize those wishes.
So the meat and potatoes, we like to say, exactly like you said, a wedding registry, a baby registry, but ours is a funeral registry. So you can pick the pertinent things that you would like for your loved one. They wanted a traditional funeral, so a casket, flowers, music, catering, travel expenses. All of those things can be put into your funeral registry, and your community can show support and add
Contribute.
contributions towards that. They would do that for any other milestone in your life. So to think that we're not currently doing that in this fashion, well, prior to us was so silly, right? So that's the meat and potatoes, but we've just added the pre-planning piece of it also, because you can have a registry made prior to death and then leaving that legacy, leaving your words and your wishes in a pre-planning platform so it's easy to transfer to the next of kin for when you pass.
Right.
We want to offer that support as well. So all of the phases, whether you're not, whether you are pre-planning right now or you're in the midst of, losing somebody, we've got you covered.
And for you, Ryan, what was the excitement around building something innovative in the death tech space?
For me, if I look at it from the flip side, right, I haven't had close loss happen to me yet, but I've been on the flip side of this story of wanting to help the close friends and family. And it's like, flowers just kind of feel sometimes superficial, right? And it's like, I want to do more, but it's like, I have no other options. There's no other options. So for me, what's been exciting on, building this out, obviously helping the families and the organizers, also on the contributing side, the community side of, building something like it's a support platform, right? Is really what it is. It's like, hey, we've built the support platform that's like really helping people. I think like what gets like, me excited, we launched earlier this year. We've helped dozens of family raise tens of thousands of dollars covering their funeral expenses. And that's exciting. That's fulfilling that like we're making an impact. And it's like that's what, keeps us going. It's like we know there's more families out there that have this struggle, have this pain point that need that support. It's hard to answer that question of like how, here's how you can help me, here's how you can support me. And like that's what's exciting for me is just like building something that's truly, you know, serving a void, I
I
think, in
mean,
today's world.
the void I see, the vision I see, especially sudden death, or even one that's expected, you're an emotional overwhelm. And as community members, it's like, I love you, I want to help you, or I care about you, I want to help you. What can I do for you? And the person receiving is just like they don't know how to answer.
Hmm.
They need help. They probably need financial help, but they don't want to ask for it. They certainly don't need another set of, $150 flowers sitting on their mantle.
Yeah.
But for someone to be able to say, hey, look, we're registered. Can you just go here? And then all of a sudden you see, like, what are some of the things that would be listed? Just thinking about funeral arrangements and what's involved and the pre-funeral, post-funeral. I mean, if it was me, I would probably have a registry for like, probate court. And can you cover some of my legal expenses? What are some of the unusual things that people might be putting on the registry?
We have all of the pertinent things for cremation and funeral. So when you think a general list for cremations, you have the urn, we have custom jewelry, we have flowers, we have music, we have, like I said, the travel expenses and catering, and then same thing for the funeral as well, casket. We kind of
Refrigeration. Sorry.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
I mean, just to get into the nuances of it, right? It's like refrigeration costs are
absolutely.
like $250 a day.
When we were looking at some of the items, we didn't want to overwhelm our user also. We want to make this pretty simple and we want to handhold. So we did do we have an option where you can choose what you might need. So if somebody needs, let's say therapy.
Oh,
Therapy was a big thing that
grief.
I
Yeah.
felt like I should have used when I was 21 post dad's death. And that's something I didn't have. So we want to offer anything that really resonates with you and your family. You can make that a registry item. But again, we have the essentials on there in addition to time and effort. This is not a GoFundMe. We are not we are not raising funds in a way that's not, I wouldn't say icky, because GoFundMe definitely has its place. But again, we're regifting, and community and family and friends, they're coming together and showing up however that family needs, whether it's in this registry form or again the time and effort support as well. Ryan and I have been kind of, since we've been working together for the last year, we've been, adding just several things to our site that just really complement. And one of the new things is time and effort items. And yeah, do you want to hit on that a
Yeah.
little?
What is a time and
Yeah.
effort item?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we know that, just going into the support category, like people need support. Sometimes they need more fiscal support. Sometimes they just need more time support or presence support. So we folded in registry items around, we call them time and effort. So, hey, if you need help picking up the kids, doing the lawn care, running errands, just coming and sitting with you, and just holding space, and a handful of other those like think of those like life chores that just feel a little extra heavier when you're going through loss. And we thought it was important to add those items as well, right? Because that's also the hard part, to ask for help. If someone's like saying, "Hey, how can I help?" It's hard to answer. But if you could say, "Hey, here's where I need the help. Like, can someone pick up the kids or run the errands? Because I don't have it in me." You can list it on there, and people know that you need that support, and they can sign up for those things as well.
We want the registry to be as transparent as possible. So again, 21-year-old me making this registry, I want everybody to know exactly how we need people to show up.
I mean, I'm thinking, so I'll share a personal story. So my son-in-law has terminal brain cancer.
Oh my gosh, I'm so
So
sorry.
my family, as of today, we're going through it ourselves. And
Yeah.
um, my daughter, who's 34, I'm here, digital thanatologist, like I should know everything. And yet when it happens to your own family, and I find that I have to pause and stop asking her, what do you need from me? Because I can tell she's just holding on. She's just, she works full time, taking care of him. He's disabled. It's like, so for me to constantly be saying, what do you need? What can I do? Actually ends up being more of a stressor.
Hmm.
Where if she had a place, to go, and when she's on, in her home by herself quietly thinking about things, she can go onto the website and start clicking, oh yeah, I could use this, I need this. And then maybe when the time comes, the two of them can actually do that process together, like create their registry list together, without
Yeah.
people bombarding them constantly with, because then there's like this expectation. Like I can tell, like she's trying to please me, I'm trying to help her, and she's trying to please me, and it gets like this
Hmm.
back and forth. Like she
Yeah.
really just wants to say, I don't know what I need, I don't know what I want, stop asking me.
There's this fine line, as Ryan was saying, I've never been on this side before, but I've been a contributor. I've seen friends and family pass away. And there's a piece of you feel intrusive, but then where's that fine line where you also want to check in with them? So it's hard on both fronts, and I think that that's where our platform comes in. We're just trying to handhold as much as you need. And then on the flip side, for the patrons that want to contribute, the friends and family that want to contribute or be around or check in on you, that website is for them also, that they can check in on the website and see all of the pertinent information for the funeral or the celebration of life, but also the registry needs or the time and effort needs. And they can also write a message in there to the person who's grieving, and just be present, but also however showing up however they can at this very vulnerable, traumatic time. So
Yeah, I mean, showing that you care without, and letting
yeah,
them
yeah,
capture that message on their timeline. So Ryan,
yeah.
for you, because you haven't had that personal experience yet, how do you talk to people about what you're building and excited about with the company?
Um,
How
one
do you
thing I've
describe it?
one thing I've noticed is not everyone's excited to talk about death, so I know how to temper how excited, about this project that we're working on, and I can read the subliminal signals from people who are like, oh, okay, I think they're feeling uncomfortable. We'll change topics.
Here
Um,
comes the death guy. Watch out.
yeah.
You find that like at the family dinner table?
Uh, I
What's
think
new in business? It's like,
starting to get that notion with with people for sure.
how to describe and invite people. Think, and look, for the three of us, it's an important conversation, but there's so much resistance around it. So, how to start normalizing, hey, this is going to happen. We've got an idea to make it simpler. So, do you mind talking about it? And I guess the question is, where's the resistance and how can people start to open up this conversation?
For me, at least I'll relate it to me personally, how I talk about this with friends is actually I talk about them saying everyone should pre-plan because I think a lot of some of the beginnings of our Give Willow registry platform is for people who didn't like I think we've talked about before, like we don't talk about it, so you don't know about it and you don't plan for it, and then you're in a hole potentially and forced to make decisions. So I've been preaching to everyone, my parents, my in-laws, pre-plan. Let's just pre-plan. Like
It's a gift.
everyone says it. It's like everyone says it. Just pre-plan. Um, and obviously with now Give Willow offering like we were responding to the feedback. What we're hearing is like, hey, we've actually started having people with terminal illnesses pre-plan a registry with us because they're like, hey, I have medical bills that I like could really use support for with now, in addition to all these other things. So, going back to your question of like, how do we approach this and how do we talk about it with people is now it's been the pre-planning aspect of like, hey, pre-plan, and for us, obviously, Give Willow, it's not a full pre-plan of like they would do with yourself or, any other
It's
kind
not an
of
estate plan. You're not doing
yeah.
estate planning. It really is that
Yeah.
post-funeral or
Yeah.
funeral and
And
and after.
This is like the nice little baby step. Like what I think is insightful when you pre-plan with us is you get to actually see that sticker price of how much all these things are. When you start picking your things out, like, oh, well, would want to do a green burial and maybe I would want to have an urn and I like to have a viewing, have everyone like a party. For me, I'm like, I want a party. I want a margarita bar at my services. I want everyone to have a great time. But whoa, wow, that's going to cost $15,000. That's great to know. And it's like, and then what you do from that there is whether, you have people help fund it or you pre-fund it yourself or wherever you go from there. I think we're serving as like in a nice like little baby step. Like figure out what are those high level things you want and then you can go from there.
I want to piggyback off of that. How do I speak about death and this platform? It's a no-brainer. But that's how I say it. Like, how are we not helping our family members and our friends who just lost a loved one?
Right.
But when baby Sue comes in the world, we're sending,
Showers.
you know,
Right.
$200 onesies, and it just is so mind-blowing that we didn't have anything like this before. There was one point in time, right, where we couldn't even fathom a car doot, 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 coming to our door,
Right.
paying for it digitally, going somewhere, tipping the driver from our
Phones.
phone. We could never have, so when, I remember when I first came up with this idea long, long time ago, I would get just the weirdest faces and like, all right, lady, cool, but I kept going because there's still a gap here. There's still a problem.
There's
So,
I mean, what we're trying to solve is opening up the conversation.
yes.
right? Part of living
Yes.
is dying. We're all going to die. We'll die one of
Yeah.
3 ways. And death is indiscriminate. It doesn't care how old you are. I mean, what about family members, right? That are dealing with the loss of a child,
Yeah.
right? That they just had that baby shower and now they have a stillborn, or, whatever the scenario is, right? There are families out there who are struggling. They're overwhelmed with medical bills. And now on top of all that, they have to deal with funeral costs.
Yeah.
The community can come together. And the way they can come together in this modern age, right, is to be able to support. And oh, by the
Absolutely.
way, I chose, this is what I want instead of waiting for somebody to show up at the door with like, oh, thank you so
Yeah.
much. I don't know where I would put that
Just lasagna.
momentum. Although, well, thank you so much.
Yeah. There's in a world full of uncertainty, there's one certain thing, right? And it's death. We all die.
And
Nobody's escaping.
community. I mean, and community
Mhm.
is there for you. So this is just a magnificent way for community to come together and to support people in a way in this digital age. And that's why I was excited to have the team on, because this is a pivotal product. I mean, this is a pivotal platform for people to start. It's a mindset change platform. It's one of those
Yes.
things like, oh, I never thought about that. So I'm hoping that people will realize that you don't have to bring flowers or that casserole. You can go on to and do a registry. So what are like 2 or 3 things that our listeners can do as a takeaway? What should they be thinking about right now?
I think, this is for everyone. It's not for just the people that need contributions coming in. There's a place for that. But again, like you said, community, your community, they want to support you, your friends and family, they want to support you and come together. And they're just as lost as you are. You just lost somebody and you're numb, you're tired, you're weak, you're vulnerable. Your community, they're feeling uneasy also, and they just want to help and be there and be a shoulder. And our platform is that.
Yeah. And then how can people find you, Ryan?
So you can find us on GiveWillow.com, and on Instagram and TikTok at GiveWillow. And the other thing I'll just add too is we've made this super simple to create. You can create a registry in less than 5 minutes. You can add a beneficiary. We've had a lot of instances where there's close friends or family creating it on behalf of that impacted family and then later adding them as a beneficiary. So there's a lot of ways that it work. So I encourage you to come check it out. It's super, easy to do, easy to personalize, easy to customize. And that's we handhold the whole way. So
And
Yeah.
we're going to
And
attach a video demo at the end of this,
awesome.
right at the end of
Yeah.
this conversation.
You can work with your local funeral home too. We've had several funeral home directors who really, help with the registry and put in those price points for you. So you can come together and really pick out what you need, but also know the local prices.
Need and want. And with that, thank you so much for joining in this important conversation. Appreciate your time and your contribution to the death tech space.
Thank you. Thank
thanks
you
for
for
having
having
us,
us.
Niki.
All right, we'll end here. Thank you for listening to the Digital Legacy Podcast, where we talk about death and dying in the digital age. I hope this conversation inspired you to take control and plan for the inevitable to protect yourself and those you leave behind. Don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter at digitallegacypodcast.com. Remember, life is full of surprises. What happens after you die shouldn't be. So keep your passwords safe and your playbook up to date.